What's up, guys? Hope you're doing all right. Today we got a really fun project for us today. We're gonna make some champagne glasses, and well, I'm not gonna make it, it's already made. I'm gonna put a little leather strip all the way around that says groom or bride. I'm making 2 of them, and let's get into it. Now that we have them both unwrapped, we can begin measuring. I'm not exactly sure thickness measurement that should be given on it. I'm estimating about a few inches, maybe from there to there would be good. I wasn't told a size. I was shown a picture, so we can measure that. And if you're wondering about this stylish attire, I know it looks super great and super catchy. I do plan on having these out soon. I'm working on getting a website made. I just got it finished by the free website guys, shout out to them. And I'll get that made, and hopefully we'll have some sweatshirts and some caps on there soon. So stay tuned. Now we can begin on the more important measuring, the around from the top taper. We have 6 3/4, and more towards the bottom, it's gonna come out at exactly 7 3/4. So it's gonna be an inch difference from top to bottom. Now that we have all of our measurements, we can go to the leather wrap calculator. Yes, it is an actual thing, and it is super helpful. I'm going to change it to imperial units because I measure in cheeseburgers. Our top circumference was 6.75, with our bottom being 7.75. Vertical height is going to be 3 inches, and we're going to be using an 8-ounce leather. 8 to 9 ounce, but I don't mind if it's just a little bit small. That way it'll give me plenty of room to lace. No overlip, so that's gonna be our shape reference. Did not get the laser cutting it out, but this is the pattern that we're going to use, and this is some leather that I found. This is 8 to 9 ounce because I used the last bit of the 8 to 9 ounce I tried earlier. So I'm going to set this on here and trace out the pencil, and we can get those cut out. So I got both these cut out, and when you put them on there, they come out just like that. They're squared across. If I hold it squared, it'll be squared. There we are. And it's pretty tight back here, but it does have a little space. We're gonna lace these up with kangaroo lace later. and that's how it'll be attached. But now we can put the bride on one and the groom on the other and begin drawing a pattern. Now that we have the bride and the groom on two there, we can begin drawing out a pattern. This is personal preference, but I like to mark my stitch line first. This is 1/8 of an inch from the outside edge. This just doesn't let me draw into my stitch line, which is very important, because if you ever stitched over your tooling, it leaves a pretty big indent in the sewing. If you're using a sewing machine, I know it's a little different if you hand stitch it, but I try to avoid it when I can. Okay, both of these are marked and we can begin drawing the pattern. shading these. That's gonna leave a good imprint inside there, make it look a little deeper and nicer. So let's do that. Now we have everything shaded on there, and this can be one of the favorite parts of mine. We can begin adding the details and all these little spots make it come to life. Before that though, there's a couple spots inside, especially around some of the stems that go up, that need to be backgrounded. I'm gonna be using a bar grounder for all of these backgrounds, and we can do that, then get into the designs. So we got all of our details done on this, and the very last step we have before we can get dyeing it and finishing it is to add a few decorative cuts. A lot of people tell you decorative cuts are optional. I will tell you that they're not. I used to not do decorative cuts. It makes a very big difference, more than you would imagine. So let's add them to it, and then we can get finishing. Now we have both these completely finished. They have all their decorative cuts, all the details, everything needed on it. And we can begin dyeing it. Dyeing is the first part of the finishing process. I will be using Phoebe's Walnut Pro Dye. It's one of my personal favorites, and it matches the picture they sent me. So, let's do it. So we got it all dyed now. We can begin sealing it. For this first coat, I'm going to use Phoebe's tan coat. It's going to make it shine a little more, and it'll get a good seal for the antique. I've let that dry for about 15 to 30 minutes. Now I'm going to put some antique on it. This is the Phoebe's dark brown antique. This will really make things pop out and look a little nicer. So I've let both these set for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna go back with a wool pad and wipe these off. After I wipe them off, I typically let them sit for about an hour or so just to make sure they're fully dry, and I can go back with the last coat of seal. Now we have completely antique, we can finish it off with some tan coat. This is just going to clear most of the antique off. There's any extra, it'll make it shine a little more. And this will be the last coat of protective to seal it up. All right, we're getting really close to the end. There is no lining or back of this. It's just being sewed. I'm using my Cobra Class 26 running a size 138 thread. I'm also using white thread. It matches the white on the groom and bride, and I feel like it looks better. Now, obviously, I use my sewing machine for this, but if you're hand stitching it, you won't necessarily have to pull the threads even. However, you will need to cut them off with scissors or knife, whatever you use, and then burn them back down to make sure your stitch stays in. Another really optional thing to do, but I do feel like it makes a big difference. I'm going to go back and use a hammer and just tap down the thread. If I have any thread that's kind of sticking up or just moved out a little bit, this will flatten it down and it'll kind of get it ready to be wrapped around the glass. Now I'm going to get to beveling these edges. I'm using a number 2 size from Tandy Leather. This is going to take the top and the bottom edge, so as soon as I go to round the edges, it makes it a whole lot easier. Continuing along with finishing the edges, after we get done beveling, we're going to go to sand the edges. Sometimes after you bevel, they can still be pretty hard to edge, and sand will get a little more flat and easier to actually finish the edges. So I'm using a fine grit and a coarse grit sandpaper. These are sandpaper blocks. They're really easy to use. I get these at Walmart. You can get them just about anywhere. I've got them from Rule King before. Just whatever's convenient. I think it makes it easier to do when you have something stiff. This is where the edge is really going to get put together. Right now I'm using a wool dauber and wetting it down. Then I'm going back with a wooden slicker. This is just going to get the cool round edge on it, you'll see. And I will go back with a piece of canvas and polish it up. It's going to heat up those fibers and lay it down nicely. So I talked a second ago about how finishing the edges makes it look done, but dyeing the edges will make it look more professional. I'm going back with the same dye we used earlier. This is the golden brown Phoebings. This is going to go all the way around the edges, and I will get these dyed up and the same color looking nice. Now we'll take our final step in finishing the edges. I'm going to go back with Tokonol. This is technically Toko Pro. Whenever I went to go get Tokonol, the store did not have any, but it's pretty much the same thing. This can go all the way around the edges, just like we applied with water, except this has a few different more things in it. And then we go back with a piece of canvas and polish it up. Now, for the lace to be in the back, I do need to punch some holes. Right here, I'm just using a measuring guide and my scratch and awl. You're just going to stick in there to tell me where the holes need to go so I can get punching them. Now we can start with the lacing. I am using 3/32 white kangaroo lace. This is a more expensive lace, but it holds together more and it looks nice. For the actual pattern of the lace, we're going to do this little cross pattern and tie a knot, a bow at the end. So we're going to start out with getting 2 of them under, just because that's the number I have posted. I have the bow coming out on top. And I'm going to take one under and then the other one under. And then they'll both keep going over and under, kind of like a baseball stitch, except it's more of a crossways. And you pull those tight and make sure they keep laying flat. And then you'll get something like this, where it's all crossed. It makes 3 X's across there. And then you can begin tying your bow. If you're doing this, you may have to take more than one attempt on tying the bow. As you can see here, I'm adjusting it 5 or 6 times just to make sure that it comes out right before I snip the edges. It's also very important to notice that if you are doing this, you might want to take stickers off before you put that in there. As you can see here, that's what I'm going back and doing. I forgot to do it. I noticed it, so. These are laced to an almost perfect fit. So if you can see, every time they're sliding them very tight, but not tight enough where it's going to harm anything. And they're fitting right to the middle where they should be. this is the final product. I'm super happy with how it came out. Thank you so much for watching this, and have a blessed day. So this is going to be the final product coming out. Thank you for watching this. And if you don't mind, please leave a like or subscribe. It's free and it helps me a lot.